What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Nerdwide podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Haynes, with my good friend and co host, Mr. Chris Rivers. Chris, it's been 2 weeks. We have a lot of news to talk about, but I got to ask something first. How confident are you in your NFL draft this week coming up?
I'm gonna win it all.
I mean, you're playing my wife or my dad, so again, low bar. And I mean, low bar. He's never played before, so I mean,
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah. And then your daughter the next week.
Again,
So
low bar. Just gonna go ahead and say it.
your whole family pretty much is in this thing.
I mean, yeah, Stella's a little not old enough to do it, but or she could have.
I
Uh,
think she was helping you make some of your picks.
You never know. That one. Yep. That's what I'm gonna
Yeah,
do.
she's a Bengals fan, so she said, "Give me
No,
that
no,
pick."
absolutely not. She will be disowned from this family and never allowed to enter the doors. Quick housekeeping, real quick. Don't forget to subscribe to either our YouTube or podcasting service of your choice. If you enjoy the show, make sure you leave us a thumbs up on YouTube or give us a good rating on whatever podcasting apps you use. If you don't enjoy what you see or hear, make sure you leave us a comment down below. Let us know how we can improve this show. If you want to go that extra mile like one of you already have, you can go to patreon.com/nerdwide. 3 different tiers for 3 different monetary values. A lot of different goodies and perks and things your way if you subscribe that way. And any amount you give, we really do appreciate it. But Chris, for real though, how's the past 2 weeks been for you?
Busy,
Busy. I mean,
busy. Um, we start overtime this week at work. Um, yeah,
Don't like that.
and but for what for Labor Day, we got a 4-day weekend. So I've been off since Friday. I'll get
Oh, look
Monday
at
off.
you. Yeah, I'm off tomorrow for Monday, so I mean, I don't know what to do with myself. I was telling you earlier in the pre-show, we were just talking. I started the Northman, and I got about halfway through it and was about to fall asleep. I said, "Nope, not doing that." This is also the movie I wanted to go see in theaters. I almost went and saw it by myself, but I was like, I don't have time for this right now. So I'm probably gonna finish the other half tonight. So live feeds on Big Brother haven't been watching much. It's gotten down to like I think it's eight,
What?
7 or 8 people. It's just kind of boring right now with that few people. I'm used to 16 different conversations going on everywhere, people doing different things. Now it's just kind of boring, and it's a lot of the people I'm not particularly fond of. So I'll just watch it when it comes to Big Brother. Jamie still watches it, not as much, but still. We've had football games to go to for high school. It's been birthdays. We've got my birthday coming up this next Saturday. We've got Zoe's birthday coming up at the end of the month, and the week directly after Stella's birthday. Then we go to Florida. This is our busy part of the year, but it's my
Right.
favorite part because Halloween's around the corner. We've already got all of our
Football.
Halloween decorations out. Football comes back this week. Vanderbilt's 2-0 for SEC. I mean for college. So I mean my baseball team is dead in the mud, but everything else is we're looking good. So
My baseball team still has a shot.
just that's fine. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Chris, have you been watching anything else other than our She-Hulk weekly shows?
Uh, I've been seeing a lot of Law and Order reruns,
Really?
which is cool because it's something to have on while I'm, you know,
Yeah.
doing other stuff. Um, and I always like that show. Um, but I've also been keeping up with American Horror Stories.
I'm trying to think.
This
I know this week's Jamie hasn't said much about.
this week's was called Necro.
Oh,
Um, Very interesting episode. Girl works in a uh, funeral home preparing the bodies.
hmm.
Um, you get a flashback scene at the start of the episode of this little girl kind of sort of partaking of a bodily fluid
Okay.
from a deceased person, and it's like what you find out in the episode that it's the main character. She was left with her mother's body for 3 days. Her mother was killed, She
Oh,
didn't know. She was too young to understand her mom had been killed. She thought she had gone to sleep or fallen and just hit her head. And so to survive, she was drinking her mother's milk,
okay.
which was, yeah.
I mean,
And then,
okay.
but it messes her up, and that comes out over the
Couldn't imagine
course
why.
of
Could not imagine why.
that comes out over the course of the episode. But entertaining episode. I think it might be the best one that they've done
Mm,
in a few. So,
that's
um,
exciting. Jamie really
yeah,
likes like the one-off stories. She's
yeah,
really enjoying because it's like a. I'm trying to think what show does that really well too. I've already lost it. It was on the tip of my tongue that I lost it, but it. I kind of like that, but I'm also a big fan of continuation stories. Obviously, a big MCU fan,
right,
and continuing of this universe, which we have that to talk about coming up for episode 2 and 3 that we're about to talk about. As far as TV, I have been watching the Game of Thrones spinoffs House of the Dragon. And let me tell
yeah,
you, phenomenal show. Like they took Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 6, elevated. The
yeah.
bar was set low for 7 and 8, so elevated those seasons. Budget's out of the world. I forget how much it is, but it is a phenomenal show, and the new episode comes out tonight. So debating on watching it tonight. Depends if the kids go to bed early or not. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But Chris, we got some fun
Awesome.
things to talk about. She-Hulk Episode 2, Superhuman Law. Again, we're going into full spoilers here. That's how we do here on the Nerdwide Podcast for our recaps. We're going to a new site this week, and this is highonfilms.com by, I'm sorry, I know I'm butchering this person's name, Rohit Avra Mahumdar. And we're starting out with episode 2 picks up right where the first episode ended. The world has found a new superhero, and they're calling her She-Hulk. Jen is not fond of that name, but also feels good about using her power to save civilians in court from Titania. I'm always going to get that wrong. I don't know why I want to say Titania, but I want to. Jen's phase of feeling good about herself doesn't last long. In the same bar where people were chanting the name of She-Hulk and celebrating her arrival, she gets fired from her law firm by her boss due to losing the case thanks to saving the jury, along with everyone else, and eventually the case goes to a mistrial. Soon we see Jen looking for new jobs at various law firms, but nobody wants to hire her, and her superpower actually becomes an obstacle for her. Nikki keeps supporting her throughout the whole time and being a true friend. I'm going to put a pause there because when she's looking at these news articles online on the computer, there are news articles like you see on a normal website of things to click. Hey, these are other stories we're talking about. One was the giant eternal. Is that right? Not eternal. Celestial in the ocean. No one's we haven't talked about that since the Eternals last year, and nobody in these shows have talked about it. But there's also one at the very tippity top.
People to go see the movie.
Right. And so, but at the top, there's a very strange one that I'm very curious to see what they do with, because they're teasing it. So there's something coming along, and I wonder if D23 this week is where they put it, because they don't. MCU doesn't do this just offhandedly. But it says, man gets in bar fight with silver claws.
Yeah.
What superhero drinks a lot at bars and has silver claws, Chris?
I thought Silver Claw was a new drink. I don't.
Oh, no, it's Wolverine, Chris. Wolverine, not the alcohol.
I thought Silver Claw was White Claws.
Oh, just off-brand.
Or alcohol.
Oh,
It doesn't.
makes sense. But I think they're teasing Wolverine there. I'm really excited because I'm pretty sure there's been some rumors and leaks this week. I didn't put it in there because we don't talk about leaks or rumors that much on the show. But there's like a rumor and that all the mutants and the Fantastic Four is going to be revealed this week at D23. I don't particularly believe it because they said there's a whole bunch of casting news. They've got Denzel Washington, Henry Cavill, some people there's like someone from Game of Thrones in there, I already forgot. But there's a whole list of like 10 to 11 people that are all rumored to be announced this weekend. And I'm like, maybe. Henry Cavill I can see. Denzel Washington also can see. But I don't know. So we'll find out. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be next week, everybody. So we're going to have a big show. And I can't wait. We might even do our little trailer watch along like we did for
There you go. Yeah.
SDCC. But back to the show. A now unemployed and morally down Jen visits her family for a family dinner, which also doesn't go that well for her. Hilarious scene. This whole scene was so funny, and nobody really cared that she's She-Hulk, and I laughed so hard at this whole thing. However, her father takes her away and encourages her, which makes her feel like a little bit better. Jen's fortune changes very soon when at a local bar she's offered a job by Holden Holloway, a famous lawyer and partner in the GLK&H firm, the same law firm against who Jen was fighting in her last case. So, back to the dinner scene. I laughed so hard when I think it's her cousin or it's her brother. It's one of the two.
Brother, I think.
Yeah, he says he's got a managerial job at Best Buy. And
Yeah.
she's like, I'm the She-Hulk and things like that. And everyone's talking about the managerial role. It's so brother sisterly thing, but like they've already got a Hulk in the family, so like nobody really cares about She-Hulk. It's just so funny to me.
Yeah, it's also an interesting dynamic, right? Because she, outside of the family, she doesn't want anyone to see her that way.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to make it on her own. But when she's around her family, it's like, okay, I want to talk about this to somebody.
Right.
And none of them are really
No.
interested.
No. I mean, it's in the post-credit scene of this, but like she's helping to lift the TV up where it's level and everything, putting the TV back where it goes. It's just some of the dumb stuff. It's just so funny. Like they get it. Jen gladly accepts the job, but with the condition that she gets to hire her own paralegal, which would be Nikki. Mr. Holloway doesn't disapprove of her demand. The next day, though, she finds out she got the job because of her She-Hulk persona, and she's actually hired to represent the superhero client section of the firm. This makes her disappointed again, but she goes on with the job with Nikki's encouragement. She also meets Augustus, a fellow lawyer at the firm, who seems to be very enthusiastic and friendly. Funny, because like this job has a lot of money. Pays her a lot more money. It's got a great view, her own big office and everything. And honestly, I think it's awesome. A superhero, like you're still being a superhero, but you're still doing what you love and do, which is being a lawyer. Which is the whole first episode. She was like, "No, I'm going to be a lawyer still. I'm not being a superhero." And the combined, I know it's that the whole show is revolved around, but it's such a cool concept. I really enjoy that. Jen soon hits another obstacle when she finds out from Holloway that her first client is none other than Emil Blonsky / Abomination, the same person who once tried to kill her cousin Bruce. Sitting in a conflict of interest, she refuses to take him as a client, but Holloway says if she doesn't take Blonsky as a client, then she doesn't have her job. He suggests she meets Blonsky once before deciding. Following that, Jen goes to visit Blonsky in the maximum security prison, which is the same one from Shang-Chi. We'll get to that in the third episode. She is surprised to find out that it's just Emil who's not in his Abomination persona. Emil doesn't hesitate to talk about his tryst with Bruce and tells Jen that he was just following the government's order. He also blames his Abomination persona and further actions on the Super Soldier Serum. Again, not wrong. Blonsky claims that he chooses not to be Abomination anymore, and even has his amends with all his victims by sending them haikus. Even send one to Bruce, which we do talk about here. After talking to Blonsky, Jen calls Bruce to check if he's okay with her taking Blonsky as a client, but Bruce doesn't seem to have any problem with that. He says that he doesn't hold a grudge anymore, and he's a new man now. He even mentions that Blonsky has sent him a beautiful letter along with the haiku. When Jennifer asks Bruce if he is visiting anytime soon, he says he might not happen, and we see him being in a spaceship in space. So, don't know what's going on there. But the Marvels, I mean, I don't know what we're going to see Bruce next, but he is in space just like Nick Fury is. So, very curious to see what happens there.
Is it? There's three things it could be. It could be Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the Marvels, or it could be Secret Invasion.
Ooh, keep him kind of like as a. Oh, I like that. That makes sense more. Yeah, I like that. That's a good call, Chris. If you get that right, we're going to start putting your theories online and getting a lot of money.
What?
Jen calls Holloway and tells him that she has taken Blonsky as a client. Holloway gets elated and asks her to put on the television. Jen does so and finds out the news about Abomination breaking free of prison and sees footage of him fighting someone in an underground cage, obviously from Shang-Chi. In the mid-credit scene, we see Jen helping her family with the daily life chores, making things easier thanks to her super strength. Very strong second episode, in my opinion. I'm really high on this show, more so than I thought it would be. Same way that was with Miss Marvel. Really enjoyed the first episode, and I felt like it kept going well up until like that seventh one, which kind of really fell flat for me. But so far, all of these are bangers. So let's jump right into episode 3, titled "The People versus Emil Blonsky." Very good title. Let's see. Jen goes to prison and confronts Blonsky about the prison escape and underground cage fighting footage. Blonsky, in response, says that he was freed from the prison against his will, but came back to serve his full sentence on his own. He says it was Wong, aka the Sorcerer Supreme, who freed him and took him to the underground cage. Jen goes back to her office and tries to contact Wong. Meanwhile, Holloway calls her and asks her to visit him. Upon visiting Holloway, Jen is surprised to see her former colleague, Bukowski, there. It is eventually revealed that Bukowski is there as a client who wants legal help to deal with a case of a fraud where he is the victim of an Asgardian shapeshifter who impersonated Megan Thee Stallion. Jen laughs at Bukowski while Pug takes him as a client. Right at this point, Wong makes a dramatic entrance. Hilarious. And from what I understand, this whole Megan Thee Stallion thing was brought on from Tatiana, which I thought was hilarious. Hold on, let's see.
Titania?
Now I'm trying to see who played Adrian Chase. I always forget his name in Arrow. It is Simon Morrison, who plays Pug. Again, love this character, and I hope he does not turn out to be a bad guy. So we will see, because everything he plays in, he's a bad guy. And I'm hoping this show is going to be different. Jane goes back to her. I'm hoping, man. It's Jamie even mentioned. She goes, every time we see him in a show, he's a bad guy. I'm like, he's a real good lawyer here. Hopefully not. Jen goes back to her office and tries to contact Wong. We've already done that. Wong tells Jen that he's indeed freed Blonsky out of prison just to test his limit of power against Abomination. He promises to give his testimony in favor of Blonsky in the parole hearing. Meanwhile, the Asgardian shapeshifter impersonates Bukowski and tries to convince Pug to drop the case, but Pug is smart enough to figure that out. In the parole hearing, Jen talks about all the good things Blonsky has done ever since he has been imprisoned. Both Jen and Blonsky managed to answer every query of the parole committee adequately. However, the prison escape thing still remained a concern, but after Wong finally arrives, he was very, very late, by the way, and testifies the doubt that was also cleared. The parole committee also showed concern over Blonsky randomly turning into Abomination and rampaging, to which Blonsky turned him to Abomination in front of them and shows that he can actually control it. Jen gives her final statement where she says that it only proves that Blonsky could actually break out of prison if he wanted to, but he chose the path of completing his sentence. The parole committee eventually awards Blonsky's release based on everything. The news media keeps writing fake stories about Jen, the origin of her power, and her relationship with Blonsky, which does seem to bother Jen a little bit. Very funny. They said she got pregnant with Blonsky, and it's the same thing that happened in our world right now. You know what I mean? Just disgusting. But both Blonsky and Nikki suggest she give an interview and clear the air about her. Jen, after hesitating a bit, finally goes to do an interview, which mostly works out for her. On the other side, Pug manages to prove that Bukowski is actually an extremely stupid, ignorant man who can very well be fooled by a shapeshifter thanks to Jen's testifying about her personal experience with Bukowski while the two are colleagues. While returning home in the evening, Jen is attacked by a group of people with weapons that she recognizes as things from some Asgardian construction site. Put a pin in there. That's awesome that the Asgardians are doing a constructions with magical weapons and everything. So, I mean, whatever works. But we're in LA though. New Asgard's in like New Zealand. So I mean, or Norway actually. So I'm like, don't know how this is getting populated throughout the world, but I guess they might trade in commerce, whatever. Jen easily fights these people off as She-Hulk, and they run away. One of them tries to pierce Jen's skin with something, but doesn't work out well for him. The others address him as Thunderball. In the final scene of the episode, Jen sees her reflection in the window of her car. The guy Thunderball and this whole gang are trying to, I guess, get her blood. I guess to get powers from her, because they said the boss isn't going to be happy about this. Which I'm like, okay, we're kind of setting up a little bit of a.
Pug.
Yeah, a little bit of a villain here. And then the mid-credit scene, we see Megan Thee Stallion and She-Hulk twerking together. Hilarious. A lot of people up in arms about this, but I'm like, come on, guys, it's a TV show. Like, we gotta stop being like this. Again, really enjoying She-Hulk as a whole, and I know they're like 30-ish minute episodes, but they're fun. I don't feel like they're that short either. Like, I feel like they do well with the pacing of everything. Obviously want more, but we're getting more. So it's just a good show in general.
I'm trying to place this in the timeline. So
Right.
we know, like, we got the mention of New Asgard.
Mm-hmm.
But if it happens before Thor, then the God Butcher hasn't happened yet.
Right. But we're right
We
after, like, it almost seems like a right after Shang-Chi because of the whole leaked fight footage that came out. So, I
It's
mean, it's
after Shang-Chi.
right.
I'm trying to think. Let's see. It's
Okay, so the writer
we
Jessica
we
Gao,
know it's after Spider-Man,
yes,
right?
which
Because
Wong said, like he said, I don't want people to forget. He goes, I don't want to do that again. Do we assume that he knows who Spider Man is? Still,
yeah, I would think so because he's a Sorcerer's
right?
Prince.
That's how I took it because he goes, I don't want to go through that again. I'm like, so he knows then, right? So he knows who Spider Man is, which
He knows. Yeah,
so I'm like,
and it probably places. I would assume it places this after Doctor Strange.
right. So I mean, it's very confusing because like the so head writer Jessica Gao says to TV Line, confirmed that She-Hulk is set soon after Shang-Chi. She says it's not like years later, but she said it is a relatively short amount of time after there. So I guess months after Shang-Chi. So
So all that had to take place then immediately after because
right.
Wong, unless he did a memory spell on
Mm,
somebody
yeah.
that
Okay.
caused them. But
But
based on what we know,
they're gonna have to start putting dates in all their movies and shows. I'm just gonna be honest here. They gotta quit.
there
So we can understand these things.
there may be some that we just didn't see. Like
Mm,
there may be one on the internet site that
right.
she's seeing all the news stories. Or,
Oh, that's a good point because we know Hawkeye and Spider-Man both take place during that Christmas time of the same year. So because the statue, the musical. Uh, Anyways, that was She-Hulk episode 2 and 3. Can't wait for next week's episode and the weeks after that because I really like the show. So does Stella.
yeah.
Stella loves She-Hulk. So
How many episodes do we get of this?
I think it's 12, if I'm not mistaken, because like one of the it's the
Okay,
longest ones, but then again, like all episodes are like 30 minutes. So,
right.
um, which I kind of like the whole um law case of the week story we've got kind of going on here.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I'm down for that. Which begs the question though, how does Daredevil get into L.A.? Because this is set in L.A. Daredevil's in Hell's Kitchen. How does this translate?
Yeah, I do worry a little bit because this episode had what, like 4 moments where she breaks the fourth wall.
Mm-hmm.
I, I don't want them to use it too much,
Right.
you know.
Well, the one she did say, she goes, "What are you expecting a cameo? This is gonna be one of those cameo a week kind of shows." And then
Yeah.
she started listing all the cameos per episode. And she goes, "Huh," and then just turned to the normal conversation. So
She's like, just remember whose show this really is.
right. And it's just so good. Like I absolutely love it. The writing is just perfect. Okay. Into the news. House of the Dragon debut drew in 2.6 million US households, which is the highest same-day viewership of any cable or streaming premiere in 2022. And then the week after the premiere, season 2 has been ordered and will be um, going, which just makes me so excited.
Can I just say that that's more people than went to see Morbius at the box office?
All right. It's probably at home too. King Kong series is in development at Disney Plus. I'm going to Variety.com by Joe Otterson for this one. A live action series about the origin of King Kong is in early development at Disney Plus, Variety has confirmed. The series would be a serialized drama that would explore Kong's origins as well as the mysteries of his home, Skull Island. The series would be based on the original King Kong, written by Marion C. Cooper, as well as the novelizations by artist Joe DeVito, produced in conjunction with Cooper's estate. Awesome. So, for all you MonsterVerse people out there. Right? No. Titanverse is what they are. Next one here is a little bit exciting. The next two are really exciting. The fourth one's going to be real fun for both of us. Umbrella Academy gets a season 4, and it is announced it will be its final season. I'm pretty sure the reason being is for this next little tidbit. Showrunner Steve Blackman will be developing the live-action Horizon Zero Dawn series at Netflix. I can't wait. From what this showrunner has done with the Umbrella Academy, 100% glad with this, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it over the next couple of weeks and months. Casting news, who's all going to be involved. I'm really excited about it. But if it's going to be like anything Umbrella Academy, I'm down. And then a fun one here as well. Jeffrey Dean Morgan joins The Boys Season 4. I'm going to Deadline.com by Rosie Cordero. JDM from The Walking Dead Supernatural has joined the cast of the Amazon's The Boys for Season 4 as a recurring guest star. Details regarding the character he will play remain under wraps, obviously. His work on the series will reunite Morgan with Supernatural creator Eric Kripke, who serves as showrunner of The Boys. During his time on the CW series, he portrayed John Winchester in a recurring capacity, which was Dean's dad, who is also Jensen Ackles, who we had last season. And I am so excited. Kripke recently spoke about his attempts to secure Morgan's participation in the new season, telling E! News, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a super fan of the show, so he and I are talking. We're trying to figure out something for season 4. Nothing finalized yet, but he and I are chatting and emailing and seeing how we can make it work with his busy schedule. So stay tuned. That was during an interview about season 3. So turns out they got that. So he's obviously going to play a bad guy.
Maybe he's Soldier Boy's father. Wouldn't that be funny?
Just keep going back this time, back to parentage, you know. Some sad news for you Resident Evil fans out there. The Netflix has canceled the Resident Evil TV series after one season. Apparently did not do well. So I didn't watch it. I probably should have. I'm not going to now that I know it's canceled. So
I don't know. I might be more likely to check it out now. So since it's
just kind of one and done.
It has an ending.
Well, yeah. Hopefully they don't have like a big cliffhanger at the end that we have to have answers for. But some other news here: Harley Quinn gets renewed for a season 4. We are going to start watching that at some point. Hope maybe this year. We'll see. But we've got 10 weeks of fun things coming up. So yeah. Paramount and our next and last story here: Paramount and Showtime are combining into a single streaming app. I'm going to GQ.com by Grant Reiner. In the modern streaming age, Showtime and Paramount Plus have struggled to get the buzz and attention of giants like Netflix, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. Now, their parent company, Paramount Global, has decided to merge their strengths by bundling Showtime and Paramount Plus together into one app, with a discount for new subscribers. Until October 1st, you can either get both services with limited ads for $7.99 a month or ad-free for $12.99 a month. On October 1st, prices returned to $11.99 with ads and $14.99 without. So, just some streaming news out there for you guys. Showtime always have a lot of good things on their platform. So
that'd be stuff like Dexter and any of the old Showtime series.
I'm trying to think. No, I'm thinking of Stars. A lot of my favorite shows came from Stars. And then
Dexter, though, hasn't Netflix had him?
Is it Netflix or Hulu?
One of the two.
It might have been Hulu because that's where Jamie watched them all. Because when she was out with Stella for maternity leave, that's all she watched was Dexter. So, gets the blood pumping. Releases this week, September 4th to September the 11th. September 10th, also my birthday. Everyone remember? So, we'll go there. But Netflix heard me. They said, Tyler, we know you cover our coverage really well. You like a lot of our movies, not some. Looking at you, Thunder Force. But we want to give you a birthday gift a day early. So Friday, September 9th, Cobra Kai Season 5 drops on Netflix. And everyone keeps asking me, Tyler, what are you doing for your birthday? Well, I think we already know the answer to that one. So, okay. All right, everybody. I might stop for dinner and the D23 conference. I might stop there. But there's also something that happens in gaming on Saturday as well. So we'll talk about that shortly. So
you got all the hookups for your birthday this
Listen,
year.
I just had to call everybody in. It's I told Kevin, he listens to the show. He said, "Oh, let's do it this weekend," because he's not doing anything else. But that's it for TVs.
Oh God. All right, let's see. Film, right? So first, we got to ask Tyler: have you watched anything else?
Half of the Northman.
Half of the North.
And from what I've seen, I'm trying to think. Do I want to restart it?
It's all or nothing. You may as well. I mean,
yeah. Watch Game of Thrones and then go to Northman. I also want to watch the Rings of Power and the
Led Zeppelin.
Lord of the Rings show. Kind of want to watch it, but I also want to go back and rewatch all the movies first because I hadn't seen them since I was like in middle school. So
Yeah,
it's a struggle, man. There's a lot going on right now. Next
yeah.
week, everything happens. D23.
You basically need to take a week off from work.
Well, I'm going to, but we're going to Florida, and it's
Oh,
kind of frowned
oh,
upon to go to the beach and watch TV and movies the whole time. So, but
who?
right, the family. Hey, let's go to the beach. Yeah, I'll be there. I'm just gonna watch a couple seasons of shows here today.
You, you need to get some glasses where you can watch the show in the
Right.
glass, and everybody thinks you're just asleep or something.
Or I could take my VR headset,
There you go. A
lay
little
on the
bit more
beach.
notice.
I'll come back to record that Sunday. Just this will be white, and everything else will be like red burnt or something. Well, it was good. It's a good vacation, Chris. Watched all my movies.
There you go.
What about you? Have you seen anything?
I haven't seen. No, I've just been so busy with stuff.
Mm.
Um,
Overtime, no big deal.
yeah, all kinds of things. No, just the movie we're going to watch for this week, which was, as you can tell from the background behind me, right? George Romero's 1968 classic, Night of the Living Dead. Now, I've seen this a number of times.
First time?
Uh, First time for Tyler. The story basically is, as you find out over the course of the movie, a satellite that was supposed to come back to Earth did not quite make it, exploded, and the radiation from said satellite has reanimated the corpses uh, all across, we presume, the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
We don't find out for sure, but we're seeing reports from various states all across the country. It's as far as DC, right? They have a scene that's
Mm-hmm.
shot at
The
U.S.
general.
Capitol. Yeah, the general with the U.S. Capitol in the background. But basically, for those people that haven't seen the movie, you've probably seen this one scene, or you've seen it parodied and stuff, where there's a young guy with glasses in the cemetery saying, "They're coming to get you, Barbara."
Mm-hmm. I never knew what else
That's
from until now.
that's from this movie. And that's how it starts. We see the brother and sister going to put flowers on their father's grave, and she's unnerved by the cemetery, and her brother, Johnny, uh, starts kind of picking at her about it, and he happens to look over and see this guy walking through who obviously isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Something's wrong with this dude, the way he's walking. He's like, "Look, they're coming for you now."
Right.
And she goes up to apologize to the guy, and he just grabs her. And that's when you know
Right.
it's on and popping. So after that, everywhere they go, there's Johnny gets killed.
Yeah, he gets just thrown into a tombstone, just
Yeah,
immediately in that corner. I'm like, oh, he's done.
yeah, yeah. We do see him again though,
Yes.
towards the very end. Um, she makes it to a farmhouse where she discovers a corpse that is not coming back to life.
No, that one's been
It's
dead for a hot minute.
Yeah, yeah. She got ripped apart. Um, and over the course of the film, we meet, I think it's six other people that are trying to hide out from the zombies. Um,
Yeah.
and one thing that's very interesting about the movie, and I kind of want to let me, I want to get her name right, um, because it's what we like to do here.
Through Barbara.
Yeah, Judith
Judith
O'Dea.
O'Dea. Yeah.
She really gives an interesting performance, right? Because for a bunch of the scenes, she's catatonic almost.
Yeah.
She's just kind of sitting there, just zoned
Could have
out.
swore she was turning into a zombie, by the way. The whole time. I was like, she got bit or something's going on here.
The first time I watched it, I was thinking that I was like, she must have gotten bit and she's feeling the effects
Yeah.
of it or something. But no, it's shock,
Mm-hmm.
basically, at what's going on. Dwayne Jones plays Ben. Um, And that kind of drives the main thing with this story. This is made in 1968,
Mm-hmm.
and Dwayne Jones is black.
Right.
And
The only
for
black
night,
person in the whole movie.
yeah, but for 1968, and this guy's the hero of the film, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who's boarding up all the windows. He's the one thinking ahead to what they've got to do, like
Knocking girls
at,
out.
knocking girls out. You know,
God,
hey,
dude, that was
she was
brutal. I was like, oh, this is
she was going
what year was this made?
she's going hysterical at one point, and she slaps him. I think it's when she's wanting to go get Johnny.
Yeah. She's like, oh, we
Uh,
left him
and
there. We can't just leave him there. Yeah.
and he's like, he's dead, and she slaps him, and he just
Dude,
punches
he
her back.
rears back and nails her. I
And
was like, oh, that couldn't have been taken well back then.
knocked her out for a while.
Yeah.
Like, she's out for a minute. Uh, but that's the thing. George Romero does this so differently. And for years, people have kind of broken the film down. It was a commentary on Vietnam. If you watch the original black and white version, it's made to sort of look like almost like newsreel footage
Mm.
of reports we were getting from Vietnam and how we really shouldn't have been doing what we were doing
Yeah.
over there.
Should have been over there.
And then you have the civil rights aspect that centers around the Ben character being this strong leader and hero in this situation, um, who survives the zombies, right? He's the only one, spoiler, in the house.
If you hadn't
This
seen it
movie
in
came out
50
in 19.
years, you need to reevaluate yourself, the
But,
Haynes household. So,
but he survives the zombies.
hmm
He survives the whole thing. And then he doesn't know who's outside when the National Guard and people start coming
hmm
up. So he's got the shotgun and he kind of looks out the window. They hear him move and they shoot him dead.
probably the most frustrating thing about this whole damn movie was the ending for me.
They shoot him dead, and it's kind of one of those things though that where Romero seemed to be saying that look, kind of still goes on today.
hmm
We don't wait to find out what's going on. Someone looks different from us, we attack.
hmm We just
And
assume and
that's
go on.
yeah. And
Mm.
they never think to look at it and go, "Hey, this guy doesn't look like he was dead before."
Hey, this guy's holding a gun and pointing it at us.
He doesn't look like he was dead.
Right.
We probably killed a living person right here.
hmm
Um, but phenomenal film. I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd.
Mm.
It's definitely worth a watch. This is sort of the film that launched the zombie.
That was my question. Is this like our first zombie movie?
It's the first of this type of zombie.
Okay.
I believe, because there's older movies. There's an old Bela Lugosi movie called White Zombie. It's basically um, the voodoo type zombies.
Gotcha.
Essentially, where someone's just under mind control or what have you.
Mm. Oh,
So this
okay. Here we go, Chris. Let's talk about Night of the Living Dead, 1968 version. Ladies and gentlemen,
Virgin?
version. So we got to the point. Let me see. What point was it? So we watched the black and white version up until the point where the other group comes from the basement, and then we had to pause it a lot because we got kids and life's going on. And so I was like, when I paused it, there was like an ad for the colored version. So I'm kind of curious in that. So I asked Jamie, she was okay, let's do it. So we flipped it over and we watched the colored version for the last half of the movie. Mainly, I wanted to see the special effects for that time and things like that. It was I don't mind black and white movies, but I just wanted to see the difference. The zombies were fun. Like they were actually smart. Barbara, not so much. She killed me this whole movie. I really liked the Ben character. He, like him taking initiative, no, we're not going to go do that. And he goes, if you want to go stay in the basement, you can stay in the basement. He goes, I'm not doing that. Because,
Yeah.
again, I would stay up in the house too. You've got all these windows, sure, but if you go down to the basement, where else can you go? You're done. You're trapped. That's it. Um, Carl Hardman played Harry Cooper. Got on my absolute last nerves the whole movie. I would have kept throwing Molotov cocktails afterwards for the little scene. My favorite death, though, when I think they made it this way on purpose, was the mom, Helen Cooper, getting killed by the daughter. And like they stayed on that for quite a while. I really liked that. And then the ending sold me out, took me out of the whole thing. And I said, did we really just watch that whole thing? Ben's doing all this great stuff. Goes to the window, looks out, and starts, pointing the weapon just to be on the safe side, and just gets shot, just dead, and falls, and then credits. I was like, huh. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. So I gave this 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. I did enjoy it. It was a fun film, especially for like the origins of a lot of zombie horror flicks, and it was fun. Like it wasn't a big set, it wasn't big anything crazy like that. You stayed in one house or that property the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
You had people dealing with things. The craziest death to me was the truck blowing up with the 2 people in it. I was like, huh? I mean, they don't make vehicles like they used to,
Well, and not only that, but all right, she's not even supposed to be out there.
Right, that made me so mad. She was, I have to go with him. Why? They're not
He's
leaving
coming
you.
Right.
They're not.
So she's not supposed to be out there, and then because her jacket gets hung on, I assume the doorknob
Right.
on the passenger door, she can't figure out how to get it off there in time to get out of the truck,
Yeah.
and they both die.
Which, to be fair, it exploded fairly quickly after her saying that. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, they're probably gonna drag this out. She's gonna be one of those dumb things where she can't doesn't know how to take off the jacket. I was like, oh, okay. She didn't really get a chance to take off the jacket, so.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. But it was fun. There was some
like-
boobs. Everyone likes to see some boobs in movies. Yeah.
Boobs and butts.
Yeah, boobs and butt. So
It was very. Apparently, this person was buried naked. I guess.
yeah,
I would
I took it as having relations because there was a couple of guys and boxers and stuff. So I was like, okay, they were
well, maybe.
having some fun. That's how I took it.
Maybe they all got. Maybe they all got zombified at an orgy.
Right, it can happen, Chris. I mean, I've heard tales. So
I think my favorite sort of moment though was when the little girl comes back to life.
We knew she was dying. Like the whole time, we
Yeah.
knew she was changing, and it was just a matter of time.
You know that she's sick. They mentioned that she's sick and she's not feeling well. They got to get her to a doctor. And then about maybe 15 minutes or so before we see her turned, the parents mentioned that she was bit by one of the zombies.
And it was like right on her wrist or something because you see it bandaged later on.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So good.
She takes that gardening spade to Mama.
And listen, these zombies are smart. I even texted you. I said, these zombies are smart mofos. Like, the fact that they were, the truck, they took out the headlights of the truck. I was like, oh, I mean, okay. But they can obviously grab things and do stuff. I think my least favorite death was Barbara. Like, she says, oh, Johnny, and goes up to him, and then they kind of just take her in. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it plays on her character, though, because that's all she was trying to do the whole time. She was hung up on Johnny and sees him and just kind of gets swept away with all the other zombies.
Yeah, we never see her remains.
So, Night of the Living Dead 2 coming out in...
Hate her.
Yeah, because there was some gross scenes. And color, by the way, still gross.
Yeah. By the way, after the truck explosion, the zombies were like, "Oh, barbecue."
Yeah, barbecue, and
they go over
to each their own.
They pull apart the remains left in the truck and they chow down on them.
mean,
There's entrails.
I'd rather eat it barbecued than raw. I mean, let's just be honest here.
And again, 1968, so that wasn't really done back then.
It was good. I'm excited. I'm excited for Night of the Living Dead 2 comes out in 2068. So I'm ready for that one. George Romero Jr. is directing that one.
He followed it up with all the sequels.
There's more?
Yeah, so this is Night, and then you have Dawn of the Dead, and then Day of the Dead, and then Yeah,
Oh,
there's a whole
1970. Also, everyone else has just done remakes of them all.
yeah. So there was a '80s film called Return of the Living Dead that was kind of a play off of this, but it wasn't
Oh. So
in
is
that line.
Dawn of the Dead the sequel? Pretty much? Like
Yes,
it's the
it
same
goes
event?
night, dawn, day. Well, it's
Oh.
I'm trying to remember exactly what the timeline is, but yeah, the sequel is like it's they did night, dawn, day, and then there's I picked up a box set of Romero movies that is
I might watch these. Listen. Budget was for Dawn of the Dead, the 1978 one. $640,000 was the budget. It made
yeah.
box office $66 million.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Huh. Say you
Yeah.
learn something new every day, Chris.
Yeah. Fun, huh?
Right.
So I gave it 5, you gave it 3.5. Um, Next week we're going to review A Quiet Place 2.
If you want to go through all of them, you can. Just so everyone kind of has a
Okay.
heads up. Because I did it all randomator. Jamie said, "Did you just pick these?" And I was like, "No, I didn't just pick these. If I just picked these, I would have picked all of mine." Okay. None of these are fun. All right. Let's just be honest here.
So last year Tyler had one movie that was on his list
I hate
that
it. It was Beetlejuice. Not Beetlejuice, Ghostbusters.
and then this year he had one movie pop up on the list.
Yeah. It's great.
So
Can't wait.
you you can shout that out when we get to it. Um, so like I said, next week is A Quiet Place 2. The next 8 films that we're going to cover for All Hallows Eve are The Shining, which is going to be really fun.
I haven't seen that one.
Hocus Pocus,
Watched it when I was elementary school age ish.
Hocus Pocus 2, which is brand new.
Mm-hmm.
The Birds,
I'm excited. I don't know anything about that
Hitchcock.
one.
Hitchcock.
Okay.
So we watched Psycho last year,
Mm-hmm.
and this time it'll be The Birds. Halloween Ends.
Which is supposedly the last Michael Myers movie. We'll see.
Yeah. Day Shift.
That one's mine. That's the one with Jamie Foxx. Zombie movie.
Uh, Scream 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a Jamie title,
Yeah, that was
right?
Jamie's.
And then Creep Show, which you've never seen.
I don't think so.
Creep Show is considered. So we watched Trick or Treat last year.
I love Trick or
Uh,
Treat. Like that's a Halloween movie for us, by the way. I know we've talked about that, but
Trick or Treat and Creep Show are kind of considered 1 and 2 for horror anthologies.
it's a
So
Stephen King and a Romero title.
yeah,
Huh. That looks
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I'm excited about that one then. That's the one we're ending on,
So
isn't it?
yeah, so that's the list, and we might. I may see if I can find streaming somewhere because I've got the physical copy. There's a documentary tied to The Shining
For the
called Room
show.
237.
It's a
Uh,
room 237,
yeah,
2012.
if you have time, watch that the week we do The Shining. We can
Okay.
do kind of both. Um, On to the news. Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery comes to Netflix December 23rd. So, guess what we're covering the show after it comes out?
Yeah.
Knives Out.
Knives Out too. I'm excited.
Now, I've heard, and I mentioned this to Tyler pre-show, that Daniel Craig forgot the accent of his character from the first one. I don't know if that means that his accent's changed in the movie or if he just showed up and forgot how to do
I
it.
forgot what he was doing.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Um, Halloween Ends will now release in theaters and on Peacock on the same day on October the 14th.
Are we gonna try and see that in theaters?
Whatever you want to do.
I either want to do that or do what I wanted to do last year and set up a projector outside and like have a bonfire and watch on the projector outside if it's
Ooh,
nice that
let's do.
weekend. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. All right. Surprise, surprise. I think the same people that were involved with the Halo game are over at DC now, because DCEU has been delayed again. Shazam! Fury of the Gods has been delayed to March 17th, 2023, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom till December the 25th, 2023. Over a year away, and the
Mm-hmm.
film's done.
Makes you think, don't it?
Why don't they just quietly release them on Blu-ray?
Mm-hmm. Or put them on
And
HBO Max and just say, hey, we're done.
yeah,
We're going to start a new era. This is what's in the works right now that we've already done. Same thing with Batgirl. Like, I really hate that we are not going to see Batgirl.
I
Or
think we see it eventually.
I think we will. Like, they had like a couple of test screen. They had one test screening with all the people that worked on it at HBO or DC somewhere. It was just a very small little theater they all watched it in. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's cool. What about the rest of us?
Um, but the reason these delays are taking place is reported here in the Hollywood Reporter from Boris Kitt, titled "DC's Kevin Feige Found." Producer Dan Lin in talks to take control of film TV for superhero arm. Why's Dan Lin looking so sassy in that photo anyway?
Listen,
Uh,
if he can do it, he can do whatever he wants to do.
it says Dan Lin, the executive term producer who counts hits such as the live-action Aladdin, the Lego Movie, and the It horror movies among his credits, is in talks to take the role of DC chief. Multiple sources tell the Hollywood Reporter. The role would encompass overseeing not just film but television as well, with Lin reporting directly to Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, according to sources. The proposed structure would bypass three separate division heads: Warner Brothers Pictures heads Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi, HBO Max chief Casey Bloys, and Warner Brothers TV chair Channing Dungey, and put control of DC in the hands of one person. Thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Walter Hamada, the current head of DC Films, would transition out of the role, according to sources. Warner's insider says no negotiations are taking place and no official offer's been made, although other sources say the parties are discussing salary, reporting structure, and the future of Lynn's prolific production company, Rideback. Um, so
What are your
I'm
thoughts?
hopeful. I'm hopeful that this is going to do something good. Look, at least if it's one person's vision.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is they haven't had a good vision over there, and then because it's been multiple people, they haven't been focused either.
Right.
So at least with this, you're going to have a focused mess if you still have a minute.
I mean, reality is the bar is low. We talked about this before we started recording. The bar's low. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have too high to go. So,
And frankly, I I don't think Kevin Feige's taken anything for granted,
right.
but you need competition.
Competition drives excellence.
Yeah, and that's what this is potentially going to do. Um, if what we're seeing with these delays and everything, if this is what's behind it, like he's just like, look, we're rebooting everything, so there's no reason to rush this stuff out.
Right.
Like like you said, put it on streaming, put it out on physical media, just say, hey, here's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not going this direction anymore.
Cut your losses while you can, and just say, okay, so what we're gonna do next.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it sucks. We've talked about it before with rebooting some of this stuff. It's you've got a really good Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a
And
really
he
good
he
Wonder
really
Woman.
likes being Aquaman too. So I mean,
You've got a really good Wonder Woman too. And maybe they keep those two.
mm-hmm.
It sounds like Cavill's out,
Yeah,
like he's not gonna come back. Um, Ben Affleck doesn't know what the hell he's
yeah.
doing.
It
Because
depends what day of the week it is.
one minute he's like, I'm done with this. I don't want to play this character anymore. And then the next he's like, I'll come back, yeah, for a cameo.
Or even keep our Pats in there. I mean, his movie Batman was really well done, and I'm excited for a sequel. I mean, they seem to keep going forward with it. with the Penguin show coming out too. So
Well, and that's the thing too. One of your big characters is Batman, who has multiple popular versions of that character
correct.
out there. It already seems like what they were wanting to do. I'm curious if this goes forward. It was almost like they were creating all these different Joker projects because he doesn't really have a set backstory, so they wanted to, I guess, make something about each of the different possibilities. Or
Right.
you just gotta settle on something.
Hmm.
We just want something, you know.
We have to. We can't just keep doing what we've been doing with Batman with
No,
19 different actors and 25 different stories. I mean, we just can't. Just can't
yeah.
do that. Not in this day and
I
age.
I would like to see him do what Gotham started, where you
Mm,
follow young Bruce Wayne up to the point of becoming Batman,
right.
probably on a show,
Well, see, that's what
and then
that'd be. Then that starts his movies off. Like
right,
we do 2, 3 seasons max of Batman from a kid, or yeah, coming up to it. It's pretty much what Gotham did. Just kickstart off of Gotham. Actually, they
yeah.
say, hey, you want this Batman's story? Watch Gotham. That's
Yeah.
what we're going off of.
Now,
So
what would be interesting is if they retroed Pattinson's Batman
to
to
that one.
that Gotham.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Oh, I'd be
I
down for
mean,
that.
why not?
Right. Mm.
Why not?
Mm.
Have Sean Pertwee make a cameo?
Don't give me hope. Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good.
All right. Next news story. Wander, Wander, what? Wander Franco of the Tampa Bay Rays.
Wander
No.
looking.
WandaVision director Matt Shakman in talks to helm Marvel's Fantastic Four movie. This comes from Deadline and Justin Kroll. After playing a big part in helping launch the Marvel Studios limited series WandaVision, Matt Shakman may be ready to help launch one of the studio's prized movie properties. Sources tell Deadline Shakman is in early talks to direct Marvel's new Fantastic Four pick. Um,
I'm down. Like WandaVision was a special point in time. I mean, let's just be honest. So
Imagine that Marvel could not be reached for comment, and all they would have done is deny anyway.
yeah.
Um,
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
yeah, um, I'm I'm down for it. Fantastic Four's it's a different set of characters where it requires, I think, a certain tone
Hmm.
that he can reach fairly well from
Right.
what we saw in WandaVision. Because at times it is quirky. It is, I'm not going to say necessarily lighthearted, but
It's
it's,
fun.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's a little bit like Spider-Man.
Yeah. And that's
And that's,
why John Watts was going to do it. I was really excited about that. But I get it. We'll take a break from doing all those back to back to back. I 100% get it.
yeah.
So,
But we'll see what he does with it. We don't know for sure what the next announcements will be.
hmm
We'll find out next weekend.
I think this weekend coming up is honest. I think we're going to get a lot of answers here. Because I mean, it's not San Diego Comic Con, which we got a lot of things coming up in the future. But I think this is where you hone it down and be like, hey, we know everyone's been asking, what about the mutants or the M word? What about Fantastic Four? Well, here's what we're going to do. Here is Matt Shakman. He's going to be our director. And then, like, oh, speaking of, he's got some announcements with you. And he comes on stage and he says, oh, people have been asking, what do I want to do with this? He goes, really liked Chris Evans in it. And you might even have Chris Evans come out, say something. I doubt he's going to be there. But like he goes, oh, I also brought who's going to be in the movie. And all four of them show up.
Yeah.
But
Well, they did that, and I think was it at Comic Con when they did that with the Eternals,
yeah.
and they had them all come out. You had like Angelina Jolie showed up,
Hmm.
and it was the whole group, right? That would be something. That's a great photo op for them to be able to
Right.
send out on social media that, hey,
Because I'm
here's
trying to
your
think,
cast.
because D23s in the past have all been like a a kind of like a digital showcase, and they didn't really
Uh,
have. But I think they're doing it at the parks this year in California. So I think they did it last year that way. I know 2020 was the first D23, right? Or not, 2019? It was one of the two. Um, and it was digital. Like they just kind of said, "Here's this, here's what we're showing for press," and then like a black screen for the trailers of things, and then they went on to the next thing. Which I'm gonna be watching the majority of D23 because it starts Friday. There's a games panel for Disney games, which I'm really excited about because all your Marvel stuff is going to be there. There's rumored Insomniac is going to be there showing some stuff off. We'll see, but I'm not holding my breath for that. But I could see that happening. Um,
Probably Spider-Man.
yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens because it's the first time ever for the games one. But D23 is such a special moment. It's like Comic Con, anyways, and
Mm-hmm.
anyone can watch D23, unlike San Diego Comic Con, where you have to be there at Hall H to get it all. And so I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I know we probably won't find a ton out, if anything, about the Wolverine video game,
Right.
but I'd like some sort of an update,
Hmm.
you know. And
I think if we get anything, it'll be as far as Wolverine. I could see Spider-Man 2 this Friday at the D23. I can see that happening. Wolverine, I can see we get more at Video Game Awards this year. I can see them saying, we do Spider-Man and they'll say, hey, you learn more at the Video Game Awards on December 8th, I think it is this year. And they go, and then they show off a little a little bit more of a CGI trailer from Wolverine. I don't think they're ready yet. But Insomniac, though, like they do banging work. So they're a big studio now. So
right,
I could be completely wrong. Hope I'm not.
we'll see.
I hope I am. So,
Final bit of news under film: the DC fandom has been canceled this year. Says Warner Brothers Discovery. This
Center
comes
talk
from
about D23's big Marvel thing. Then you go to this. Oh.
this. This comes from comicbook.com's Timothy Adams. The virtual fan convention DC Fandom won't be taking place this year. Originally launched in 2020, DC Fandom was a virtual convention that covered DC content consisting of comics, TV shows, and movies, with stars and creators holding virtual panels to discuss their many projects. DC Fandom has also served as the first place fans could see trailers for The Batman starring Robert Pattinson, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and more. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers Discovery has canceled this year's DC Fandom, according to Popverse. Comicbook.com can also confirm the latest update to DC Fandom. So, I have a feeling this is because of the change of leadership and
Right. You'd have to assume.
the fact that stuff is either canceled or is delayed.
Hmm.
They really don't have much to go over. Um, I think it would have been a great thing to just say, "Hey, this year's fandom isn't canceled, but it's gonna be very informative
Hmm.
for the future. Tune in, and then just have Dan Lin sitting there talking about his vision
Right.
and drop a couple breadcrumbs about what he envisions being the first steps. Give people a timeline like, hey, we're gonna start this reboot with our first projects projected to come out in late 2024 or
Right.
whatever.
I mean, you can even have like that's what they do too. Is it's a big comic book thing as well. Like you have a bunch of the writers and artists and things explaining what's going on in the DC universe comics right now. And I hate that they're not getting that coverage. You also had stuff for CW, although a lot of things have been canceled. Um, but like you have the Flash having its final season coming up. You've got Stargirl still going on, which I imagine will be canceled at some point soon too.
You got the Flash film that'll never see the light
Yeah,
of day.
yeah, that's not coming out. Like you still talk about things, but I guess Discovery, Warner Brothers said, you know, eh. we're not gonna. I mean, you still have the video games to talk about. They're not coming out this year either. So, or
Yeah.
the one is, but what a time.
They could put Ben Affleck up there and have him argue with himself
Yeah,
over
just
whether he wants
about
to
what's
do.
going in his head.
Yes, I'm going to do Batman. No, I'm not. No,
Right.
no, you're. Yeah, yes, I am. No, no.
Who wants to do that? No, not me. I'm not doing it.
All right, releases this week. Thor: Love and Thunder on Disney Plus on 9/8, and on September the 2nd, the Elvis movie that did actually I think it made over 250 million at the worldwide box office, or almost 300.
Let me see.
It is on HBO Max now as we record this. So
Which I'm
check.
probably gonna go watch that again.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
good.
yes, oh, I love that movie. I'm glad we did that. Budget was 85 million total. It made 281.1 million at the box office. So
Yeah,
good for
good,
them.
good returns.
Chris, video game wise, are you playing anything fun or anything interesting?
Just my sports stuff.
Hmm.
Um,
Have been into it. Like I've almost. I sat there on buy on the Xbox of the Madden game. I was like, no, I can't. Just can't do it right now. I can't. Because I'm gonna play 2 games, 2 snaps, and like, okay, yeah, I played it. And I need to though. Like if it came to Game Pass, I could see myself getting addicted to it because we're in a very dry video game year.
it's usually on Game Pass, right?
Right. That's what I even noticed that I was looking at yesterday. Actually, they've got 20, 21, and 22, but no 23. So I'm like, that's highly interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a deal somewhere where they can't do it for so long, but last year they dropped it day and day, so I don't know. I have been playing. Destiny had a new season come out, so I'm heavy into it right now, and that's pretty much it. Corbin and I played like these hit or miss games, just trying to find something new, but there's not really anything to do. So I think I'm getting to the point where I'm about to go back on my backlog and start completing a lot of that because I don't think I have a game I'm excited to play about until October, which is abysmal. Like it bothers me. Last of Us Part One came out this past week. I'm not paying $70 for that. I'll wait till it comes out on.
It's the remastered, right?
Yeah, like completely, pretty much from the ground up remaster. But I'm like, I still play the story. I want to play it, yes, but not at $70.
Um,
Um,
that's one thing about games that bother me, right? Is you'll have a dry spell like this, and then all the cool stuff that you want to try out, it all hits within like a 2 month span,
right.
and then you're just
February,
overwhelmed
March,
with.
and then October, November. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have anything in September. I'm sitting here looking, unless Games Radar doesn't have like it updated all the way yet. But from what I'm seeing right now, I don't have anything coming out in September, which I'm like, because
Yeah.
I need something. I mean, Destiny's holding me over for now, but then you get to October, and I got a bunch of crap to play. Um,
Go ahead and get Madden and just.
that's yeah, and just grind out Mutt, and I don't know. It's Gotham Knights comes out October 20th, but that game looks so bad in October. I'm just like, I
That's a
don't.
month and a half from now, though.
Yeah, and then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which I'll be spending a lot of time in that for at least 2 months. That's October 28th. So I'm like, I don't. There's not a lot of. And then
No.
November, you've got Skull and Bones, which I want. God of War Ragnarok, which is going to be a big, heavy game, all
Uh-huh.
coming out November 8th and 9th. The new Pokemon game comes out next week, November 12th. I mean, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. And then we wait till next year. So, not I'm going to draw. I got to clear up my backlog. Like, I need to beat Cyberpunk. I need to beat Nier Automata or Near Replicant, excuse me. There's like games like that, just games that I've started that I've always wanted to beat and play. I just and got distracted by something else, like
Right.
Destiny, for instance, just wrecks my life.
See, for me next year, it's gonna get rough because
Dude, next year's gonna be
I've,
terrible,
I've
dude.
I've gotten it. Well, just from a sports perspective, I've gotten into this habit, right, with MLB and Diamond Dynasty, and then Madden
Hmm.
and Ultimate Team, right? But next year, as far as I've heard, I haven't heard of a change. EA is supposed to also drop their college football game.
Yes, that's what I've been told too. And that game is going to be a lot of fun. I know.
I'm like, I can't, when am I going to play stuff?
Right. I'm curious to see
You
what
know,
they do with that game. Like, do
'cause
you
you
do like a Diamond Dynasty or a Ultimate Team kind of thing on there, or how do you do
they
that?
had when it was still NCAA back in 13 or 14,
Hmm.
they had an ultimate team type mode in the game. So I'm sure they'll put one. It makes them too much money.
Yeah.
You know, that they'll put one in.
I want nothing more just to play as Vanderbilt and just actually winning. But we're 2-0 right now. So last
Right.
week we were top of the southeast of the SEC or something like that. Just already
Yeah.
number one. So 65-27 against Hawaii. Not a big deal. Number
Enjoy
one.
it while you can.
That's exactly what I'm doing at Chris. Milking it for everything it's worth. I've only got two news stories here. Nothing crazy here. Gravity Rush movie in the works at PlayStation Productions. They haven't really said much else about it. Fun little game that's been. I think it was PlayStation 3. The first Gravity Rush came out on. I think that's what that
Sounds
was.
right.
And then the second news story here, BioShock live-action feature film adaptation of the video game franchise will be directed by Francis Lawrence. He also directed I Am Legend, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Slumberland, to name a few. And the script is being written by Michael Green, who also wrote Logan and Blade Runner. And Chris, I don't know if you played BioShock. Phenomenal game. And
Yeah.
these two right here at the helm, I've got full faith in them because it's a fun little dystopian game, and I might have to replay those too at some point. Notable new releases this week: NBA 2K23 drops September 9th on everything but the Switch and PC, and then Splatoon 3 for the Switch on September 9th as well. Oh man, Chris, our Halloween movies have started off. We've got our Hallows Eve movie fest. We've got 9 more movies to go through. I'm so excited. I love this time of year, and I can't wait.
Mm.
Oh, I just can't wait. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this episode of this podcast. We cannot wait for you to watch and hear our thoughts next week on She-Hulk and A Quiet Place Part 2. Don't forget to share it on your favorite social media platforms. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast on whatever podcasting apps you use. Social media, you can follow Nerdwide on Twitter at nerd_wide. You can follow me personally at Ty_Haynes. I post a lot. I like a lot of dumb nonsense things. You can follow Chris at MavTN7. If you want to follow us on the Facebook side of things, go to facebook.com and in the little search bar, search Nerdwide Podcast or just Nerdwide. It'll be the first thing that pops up. Follow us either on Twitter or Facebook. That's the first place you'll know when we post our episodes live. As always, this has been this week's episode of the Nerdwide Podcast, and we cannot wait to share you with our thoughts next week. Make sure you watch the movies and She-Hulk. And it's going to be a big episode next week. We've got D23. I didn't even talk about the video games. So Ubisoft is announced. Well, they've already announced their new Assassin's Creed game, Chris. It's Assassin's Creed Mirage, and they're going back to the basics. They said we're going back to what the original game was towards, and the little screen art that they showed looked just like from Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed 2, and I cannot freaking wait. And they said September 10th, we're going to show it off. And it's been rumored that's coming out spring 2023. Another game, like 2023 is probably going to be the best year of video game history, period. So
Is this one? Is it going to take 250 hours to complete?
I don't
Story
think so.
mode, or-
I don't think so. I kind of hope not. But we're actually going back to the Assassins, and that is what I fell in love with Assassin's Creed. I just can't wait. Anyways, guys, this has been this week's episode of the Nerdwide Podcast. We cannot wait to talk to you about everything next week.
Later, guys.